Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hello, I'm DJ Ross. I am in Mountain View, California.
Each week here on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week, we're playing Eastward and White Shadows.
Oh. They're not usually white. That's weird. Why are they white?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. They're not white in the game, so I'm not sure how they landed on that title. Yeah.
Are you playing the right game? You didn't get confused?
Just false advertising.
I'm playing this game this week called Regular Shadows.
Just to keep expectations right where they should be. Yep. Just good old-fashioned shadows.
Yeah. Didn't like that sequel where they tried to mix it up, made them white.
I don't know where we're going with this, but how are you been, DJ? How's things? How's life?
Oh, it's great. I almost got roped into playing a Pokémon game this weekend.
Oh, which Pokémon game?
For stupid reasons. I almost started playing Pokemon Pearl, Shining Pearl, Brilliant Pearl, one of those two, one of those remakes that came out last year.
I can't check you on that, actually, so I'm not sure what it was called, but yes, I believe it had a pearl in the title.
Well, I know it's Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are the originals, and one of the remakes is Shining, and the other is Brilliant, but I don't know which one is which. That's how much of a Pokemon expert I
am. Yeah. My time playing Arceus has not helped me with your dilemma.
No. Although we did learn, thanks to the Discord, that Arceus takes place in the same region as Diamond and Pearl, which was interesting news to me. So that's cool.
We did learn that. Yeah, I owe a debt of gratitude to the folks in our Video Game Hangover Discord to help sort of illuminate me on who the traditional starters are in these games and where this actually takes place and how it's relevant to other I was gonna say future, but that doesn't quite work. Other Pokemon games, and that in fact the team that you play for, that you're kind of on in Arceus, is actually the bad guys in most of the Pokemon games. So that was kind of an interesting perspective as well.
That was also shocking.
Yeah, but this is not a Pokemon show.
No, but I was going to say, it almost was, because I found out that, these remakes came out several months ago, and I learned that this weekend they had distributed some kind of little bonus gift around launch where you could get one of the outfits from a different Pokemon game for your characters in this game. And so I saw this post that said, this is the last weekend you can redeem this, you can get these outfits and they're going away. And I thought, oh no. Outfits, you say? So let me take a look at these things. And I looked at them, and one was like kind of just a very fancy looking coat, like much fancier than I imagine a Pokemon trainer would usually wear. I feel like whenever I see a Pokemon trainer, for whatever reason, they're just wearing kind of like athletic gear. I guess that's the look.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this, I don't know. I don't know if this is what I want when I eventually do start playing this game, but this is the last day it's going to be available, so I need to make this decision. And it turned out that you had to actually, before you could even unlock this special outfit, you had to play several hours into this game, and I believe defeat the first gym leader. And I just thought, well, this is turning into a more serious time investment than I was thinking about. But
you thought maybe you just boot up the game and you would get the gift?
Yeah, I didn't think I would have to actually start playing this game in serious, but I guess that's what it takes to get one of these things. So I had real serious close call with the FOMO, which I don't know. It's usually not an issue for me, but just knowing that I guess this outfit is now gone for good, I was just like, well, don't know if this is going to diminish my Pokemon experience when I eventually do get around to playing this. Probably not, but it'll just always be in the back of my head. Like, if I see somebody else wearing that outfit, I'll be like,
Yeah. I don't know. I have no help for you. I'm sorry. I this is a bit of a blind spot for me, as is much of my Pokemon experience. So I don't know how often these things come around. There's a function in Arceus to sort of connect to the internet to check to see if there are any gifts for you. And when I first started playing the game, there was a couple little things that I got. I forget what it was. A couple Pokeballs and I think a T-shirt or something. But yeah, I think every other time I've connected since then, there has not been any cool gifts. So I'm not how sure how frequent those are.
I don't know. I mean, I'm usually not very susceptible to this like limited time, get your pre-order in for this bonus or, get this other limited thing.
Right.
But it bugs me a little bit that I know there are some multiplayer functions in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, but I was planning to approach it as more or less a single player, like offline RPG. So the fact that there was this limited time thing that you had to connect to the internet for, and apparently, it sounds like what they're doing in Arceus. They just periodically give away stuff over the internet. Like, I don't know about that. Like, what happens to all the people who end up playing this years from now, and they open it up and suddenly learn, like, by the way, you're 4 years late to getting this fun outfit that you may have wanted for your Pokemon guy. Not really a fan of that stuff.
Yeah, that seems not cool, but I mean, they got to sort of motivate people to get there first, right?
Yeah, but it's like, come on. Like, what's the hurry? It's more or less a solo experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I did not end up playing Pokemon this weekend. And so we can return to our regular non-Pokemon content.
I was on vacation. Most of our listeners know that we were not here last week because I was away. I was off doing vacation type things, and I had this plan that I will have so much downtime. I will sit in a like a lounge chair, and people will bring me drinks occasionally, and I'll just play video games.
Yeah.
Not thinking that when you're in the sun, you can't see a damn thing. So
well, that's why you have that OLED, right?
It didn't help. It was not. I mean, even cranked up to fullest brightness, I was still struggling to make out what was happening on the screen. So I didn't make any progress on Pokemon last week. I was hoping to dig a little deeper into Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I've been sort of slowly chipping away at for the last couple of weeks as well, and really got nowhere in that. So yeah, got back to the room at the end of the day and did my Animal Crossing dailies, but otherwise did not fill my week with nearly as much gaming as I had hoped I would do.
What is even going on in Animal Crossing at this point? Is it time for Bunny Day yet?
No, it's still winter. It's almost Festival.
Oh.
Yeah, it's slightly less fun. But I'm still finding cool new clothing things, and I'm still getting new food recipes and stuff every time I play the game. So there's sort of that newness kind of popping up every now and then. I still stop for a coffee every day at the coffee shop, and yeah, and Brewster gives me cool little goodies every now and then, so I've got some cool collectibles so I can make coffee at home now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
But you still go to the cafe?
Still go to the cafe every day.
Coffee at home. Okay.
But no, I just kind of going through the motions. I haven't really done any sort of significant, art installations or rearrangements or anything like.
Island, yeah.
No, I haven't done anything like that. No, I had plans when they first sort of launched, Animal Crossing 2.0 last November. I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I don't have the time. I can't spend 8 hours a day playing Animal Crossing like I did during the pandemic. So, lockdown allowed me to spend way more time just sort of decorating my house. And I can't do that now that, I'm working all the time.
Oh, well.
Or, in this case, vacationing all the time. So,
right.
Champagne problems. But yeah, so no, I've not really. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll get around to it. There's also, of course, the Happy Island designer thing that they added that I've barely touched. So there's lots of Animal Crossing still to be done, but I think maybe I've seen all the stuff I need to see.
I thought if there was ever going to be a time where you just like drop it cold turkey, it'd be when you go on vacation. Just like pack up, leave your island for a couple weeks, and who knows what happens after that.
Yeah. No, I live in just abject terror of one of my villagers moving away.
Yeah, they don't actually move away anymore, do they?
Yeah, they still move away.
Okay. I haven't heard the horror story of like, I didn't check it for a while, and while I was gone, all my villagers moved out.
I'm pretty sure that's the thing that still happens. So, if not, maybe I'll sleep better at night knowing that. But no, I think it's still a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah.
I guess don't let that happen then.
Yeah. Plus, I like to keep that streak going with the 700 points from the shop. I don't know what I'm ever going to spend all my points on.
Oh no! I that ship has sailed a long time ago.
So for folks who don't play Animal Crossing, who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there's an ATM machine inside the little community hub, inside the town hall, essentially. And as long as you check in every day, you get a clutch of Nook points that you can use for stuff, for things. If you check in 7 or more days in a row, you get 700, I think. Nook points.
You get progressively more points the longer your streak goes, up to a certain point.
Right. And then once you sort of maintain that streak, 7 or more, it's just the max number every day that they give you. And I have like 700,000 Nook points at this point that I will never spend on anything, but I just hate resetting that thing back to just one day, just 100 points.
See, that's the thing where if I start to build up a streak like that in a game or wherever, I get very fixated on, like, I just get very paranoid about, I can't drop this for whatever reason. Even though, like, Nook points, fairly worthless in this game. Like, there's no reason absolutely. I need this many Nook points.
Yeah. 2.0 has added things to spend them on. But yeah, go ahead. I agree with you. A
little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I was playing Wordle every day for like a month, and I was keeping my streak up, and that game was fine. But at a certain point, I was just like, I'm only playing this so I don't drop the streak, and that is a dumb reason to do anything. So I just stopped playing it.
I will tell you, though, that I have a similar Wordle story in that I had the streak going. I enjoy playing Wordle. I think there's been a lot of sort of like, it has definitely bounced back. People have sort of approached it with derision, I think, at this point, particularly since it has been sold off to New York Times. So yeah, I still like playing it every day. I still find the challenge in it. I still like sort of sending my results to Sarah, and she, curse you, and then sends me hers results. So it's a fun little thing between the two of us. But yeah, when the first day that it switched over to being on the New York Times server rather than the powerlanguage.co.uk one that it was on, my streak was broken, and I was angry about it all morning. I was like, how do I fix it? How do I get it back? What happened here? Just completely useless. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, It kind of ruined my morning.
Oh, it didn't come back at all?
It did. They fixed it after a couple hours.
Oh, well, crisis averted.
Yeah.
See that? I mean, that's like when I was playing Animal Crossing, not New Leaf, Wild World on the DS. I was playing it every day, and then I decided there was just some point where I was like, "There's nothing left to do in this game. I'm kind of getting tired of checking in every day." And the hardest thing was just taking that first day off and knowing that it was like they didn't even keep track of how many days you played it consecutively. It was just in my own head.
Sure.
So I just like didn't turn it on one day or played something else, and the next day I was like, I don't need to play that game anymore. It's fine. So it's just about taking that first step. Just about dropping that one Wordle game.
Yeah. I'm not ready for that step yet. I'm still. I don't know. So it's a little comfort food at the end of the day. It's just a little, I don't know, just a nice little thing that I check in on. And
sure. No, I get it.
Yeah. What have you been checking in on lately? What are you playing this weekend?
I've been playing Eastward, which is a game. It's an action RPG adventure. Somewhere in that area. Came out last year.
First person, third person shooter.
It's top down. It's not first person.
Oh, okay.
That we can be sure of.
For the sake of our listeners, it's absolutely not a third-person shooter. I'm just being an asshole.
Yeah. No, it's all in 2D. And I've been playing a lot of this, or what feels like a lot of it, and I honestly am not sure if I'm able to talk about it, because it has just been so weird. I feel like it's a combination of me not really knowing what to expect, or maybe this game just having a weird rhythm, or just taking a while to get going, but I'm having a hard time of sort of seeing the through line for everything that's happened in this game so far.
Oh.
And not in a bad way. And it's you play a lot of games, or you play enough games rather, or you see enough movies. They start to all just become a little bit formulaic, right? Because you're all right, here's the section where we're introduced to all the characters, and here's, oh no, there's a crisis happening, and our heroes came to the rescue, but oh no, now there's this other thing happening, and now their heroes are on the ropes, and all this general stuff.
Sure, these are sort of tropes, beats you're accustomed to video games hitting. Yeah,
right. And in this game, I just cannot tell what's going on
because it's not hitting those kind of notes that video games tend to consistently hit.
A little bit, yeah. It's just I'm expecting one thing to happen, and then some other thing happens, or just it's been very surprising so far, which is nice. But it's also frustrating to me because I was planning to come on the show this week and tell everybody about how this game works, and I'm not even totally sure how it works myself.
Are you not entertained?
No, it's been very entertaining.
Yeah.
It starts off, so...
Yeah, I guess, what is it and how did you end up playing it? I guess is maybe the background information that gets us here.
Well, it came very highly recommended. And it looks like, from all the screenshots I've seen, it looks like a very colorful and whimsical, what I thought was a JRPG, but it's more of an adventure game. It's more like Zelda or something. So I thought, oh, that sounds good. I'll give this a try. Mm-hmm. And I started it up, and it opens with one of the greatest intro movies that I've seen in a game. It's all animated, and you see all these weird characters, and it shows you all these really just fantastic environments. I don't know if you've seen there's an anime called Tekken Concrete, which took place in a very similarly kind of fantastic and very detailed and ornate sort of Asian metropolis, where if you just think of I don't know, some random city where with very narrow streets, and there are all these signs all and shops all over the place, and it's just a very, very busy sort of atmosphere. It was an entire city like that. But I got the same kind of vibe from this intro movie, where you see all these weird, unusual characters walking around and doing things in the city. And I'm oh, this looks exciting. I wonder who all these characters are. I wonder what their deal is. And then it sort of wraps up with the most memorable image of all the characters on this little train car that is moving to the right of the screen. So I was just aha, they're moving eastward, and this game is going to be about this grand journey to somewhere east, I suppose. At least that is what I was inferring from the opening movie. Mm-hmm. So then I start the game, and it's just been me when are we gonna get on the train? When is this happening? When is that whole intro movie going to be realized? And it starts out in a place that a lot of sort of RPGs or adventure games start, which is a little sort of rundown town where you play as John, who is this guy who looks like a homeless version of Joel from The Last of Us. Or maybe not necessarily homeless, but just dude's kind of down on his luck. Looks like he may not have had a shower in some time.
So Joel at the end of The Last of Us instead of the beginning.
Yeah, right. After he's been stabbed countless times.
Right, you've seen some things, man.
Yeah. And you realize that possibly one of the reasons he looks like this is because everybody lives in this little, basically what seems like a trailer park underground. And they are all, like, everybody, or all the adults in this trailer park work in a mine, essentially. And that is just their existence. Occasionally there will be people talking about, like, this great world on the surface with blue skies and, like, green fields and everything, and, like, amazing cities. But it seems like this underground trailer park is also some kind of, like, cult. Because whenever somebody talks about the surface, they're just like, oh, no, you're not supposed to talk about the surface. You're going to get in trouble with the mayor or whoever. Which is an issue because, so John lives with this little girl named Sam, who's the character in all sort of like the key art with the long flowing white hair, if you've seen anything about this game. And she is very excited to, like, that the surface is real and wants to one day go there somehow, even though they're not really sure how to get there. And she causes a lot of trouble by constantly talking about this, and everybody's just like, no, you gotta stop doing that. So you spend the early portions of the game, like, doing jobs in the mine and, like, accompanying Sam as she goes to school, and just doing, like, kind of random stuff around the trailer park village. Until eventually, I hope this is not a huge spoiler, because this is how every, like, RPG starts in this way. Like, you somehow manage to find yourselves in trouble and you're forced to leave the city. And at this point, you get put on the train, and I was like, oh, here we go. We're going to go see that cool city with all the little narrow streets and lanterns and everything. But that's not exactly what happens. You do sort of set off on this journey, but it's not like at the start of this thing, it doesn't feel like you have a real destination. You're just sort of put on this train. And Sam is very excited because she's like, oh, we're going to go, to this place that I've heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And John just seems like he never actually says anything. So who knows what he's thinking. He's more or less like just the player character. So I guess just like them, I'm kind of along for the ride, just seeing what happens and wondering what exactly this game is.
Huh. Well, that is not what I expected.
What were you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the trailers and stuff like that, and I had heard that it was Chucklefish is the publisher, so it's the developer that made Stardew Valley, right? So I thought it was going to be like a Stardew Valley kind of game. That it was.
Well, they're not the developer.
No, case. I get that. I've sussed that out as you were telling the story. I was Googling, going, "Oh wait, they didn't make the game; they just published the game." But yeah, in my brain, I had sort of assumed Eastward was like a life sim in some way. It was, set in a unique place or something, because I've seen sort of, like you said, some of the artwork and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I made presumptions about this game that clearly are not accurate.
Yeah, so I think the hardest thing for me, just like tying each chapter of this game together, is each one seems fairly different so far. Like I'm only on chapter maybe 2 or 3. But it does seem like, if anything, if there's going to be one constant, it's that you just keep visiting new locations each chapter. So the first one, you start out in that sort of trailer park underground, and then you go, the next chapters take you to like different locations along the train route, which has been very exciting because each one is like sort of brand new and, again, very whimsical, which is exciting. And all of these environments are drawn with like these huge, like, pixel art characters and structures, and just like visually, it's an amazing game. Like, all the characters have a lot of personality and how they animate, and like there's a lot of like lush environmental lighting effects and everything. So it's very cool just to explore around and just try and figure out what is the deal with everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm just wondering if at some point there's going to be like a central quest or like more direction than like John and Sam and new party members that they seem to occasionally accumulate, just being on this train and sort of being at the whim of wherever the train track goes. I mean, like, which is also cool, but not totally sure. It does seem like there's a greater mystery that is slowly being revealed, so maybe that's the hook. But it's doing it so slowly and like unexpectedly. It's hard for me to like connect it with all the other stuff that's happened up to this point.
So are you doing sort of traditional adventure game things? Is there combat? Are you fighting monsters? Is there an overworld? Is it sort of check all of those kind of RPG adventure boxes, or is it am I miscategorizing it again?
No, you do a little of that. Like occasionally you'll just go into a dungeon and hit stuff with a frying pan, because that's what John has with him, and he picks up more equipment as you go along. And like usually you can switch between him and Sam, who has like inexplicably these like some kind of spiritual powers that let her do different things that John isn't able to do. I don't want to give away too much of what's going on because it's very mysterious. And those have been fine. It's it's not terrible, but it's not like groundbreaking action in these dungeons or anything.
Right.
There is like a lot. It does feel like there's a lot more emphasis on like the story and the interactions between the characters, which is also cool. But as I was getting into this, I was expecting it to be like, first of all, I was expecting it to be like a turn-based RPG, so I was just completely misinformed in that regard. But then it feels like you spend a lot more time walking around town and talking to people than you do in these dungeons, which again, also fine, but it's not necessarily the balance that I was expecting.
Gotcha.
So this game just continues to defy my expectations.
But it sounds like kind of in a good way.
Yeah. It's been very surprising from like minute one. You meet a lot of unusual characters, and a lot of them don't behave in, or they just behave in very like eccentric ways. It almost feels like there's a very strong like Earthbound influence.
Oh, interesting.
Because like that game ostensibly took place during like present day, but everybody was just so weird in that game, and I feel like you can see a lot of that come through in the characters in this, because you start out in the middle of this weird like trailer park cult, and then like the characters who you just pick up along the way are just, you don't get long and detailed introductions to a lot of them. They just kind of join up with you as like a matter of circumstance, and then you're like, before you know it, you're just being followed around by this weird guy, and you're just like, well, maybe someday we'll figure out what his deal is. But until then, he's just going to follow us around and like be on the train with us. It's fine.
Sure. All right. Well, listen, I've played. I think we've both played our fair share of games like that. Don't necessarily feel like you understand what the point is, and that you hope it sticks the landing. Like, I hope this goes somewhere. I hope this wraps up in some way that makes it all feel like the journey was worth it.
Yeah, I don't get a sense that. I mean, I get the sense that that will be the case, because all of this feels very like deliberate. So I'm just waiting for like more of the story to be revealed, so I get a little more clarity on everything.
Gotcha.
But until then, I am really enjoying going from one location to the next, just being like, oh, what is this going to be like? Sort of hoping to one day reach that one city from the opening sequence, or maybe I'm already there. Who knows? It's very confusing.
What a tease!
Yeah, very cool though. It does have a lot of like, does give you a lot of sense of adventure. From just going from one completely unknown location to the next, and just based on some of the things that have happened so far, it seems like who knows where they're going with this. Who knows what the next plot twist is going to bring. The thing that just happened was particularly wild, which I'm not going to get into, but
sure,
some just like really surprising stuff.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to maybe dig a little deeper into this because the references, I mean, Earthbound and Zelda and stuff like that sound interesting, and I like a perfectly surprising and eccentric cast of characters in a video game when done well. So I might have to look a little more into this, but. Yeah, it's just interesting to sort of think that I thought I knew what this was, and it does not appear to be accurate in any way.
Yeah, it's weird. One of my favorite things about it so far is that whenever you go to a save point, the save points on this are all like talking refrigerators. So you like go up to a refrigerator, and it'll say something like, "Okay, would you like me to store your memories for you so you can like come back to them later?" And it's like just asking if you want to save your game or whatever. And you say, "Yes, I would like to save my game." And then they just make some insane comment about like, "Oh, thanks for saving your memories. I wonder what happens if your memories, if somebody else loaded your memories over their memories. Like, would they then be you? Would you be that person?" Just starts asking all these really like weird philosophical questions, and I'm just like, okay, well, I can't wait to see how this pays off later in the game. I can't wait to see how this incredibly heavy-handed foreshadowing is going to manifest 20 hours from now. So there's that. There definitely like some plot points which seem a little more blatant than others.
Interesting.
But anyway, that is my incredibly vague rundown on the first few hours of Eastward.
Excellent. So I guess the inevitable question at this point is, are you into it? Are you feeling it? You're going to stick with it?
Oh, yeah. I need to know what happens at this point.
Cool. Yeah. I'm intrigued by the refrigerator thing now.
Yeah, the refrigerator is super weird. I don't know. That's one of the, like, especially Earthbound feeling things. I think just the weird object that starts talking to you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never played Earthbound. I know it is sort of like universally adored amongst a set of gamers, but I've never had access to it. Easy access anyway. So
yeah. Well, they just put it on the online thing. So
exactly. I'm super excited that it's finally accessible on a device that I have. So I might have to give that a whirl at some point.
Yeah. I'm really curious about the NES version, which is like Mother 1. Earthbound is Mother 2 in Japan, but there was like this prequel game that I never played. And by most accounts, it just sounds like kind of an unpleasant experience, at least by modern standards, because it's just an extremely grindy and difficult NES RPG from whenever it came out. But it's the sort of thing where I'm just like, ooh, it's kind of like a piece of gaming history, so I just want to experience it, even if it's going to be incredibly frustrating.
Right. You could say at least I did that.
Yeah. It's like a couple years ago when I played Street Fighter 1, and afterward I was like, well, now I've checked that box. But I'm super excited that the Earthbound, at least, is on the Nintendo Switch Online. I was thinking maybe I would revisit that as well after I have dragged myself through Mother 1.
Yeah. All right, well, let me know. Maybe we can drag ourselves through it together.
Yeah.
Cool. The game that I did find some time to play this past weekend is called White Shadows, as we revealed at the top of the show. This is I caught a trailer for this. I don't know, I have a bad habit of sometimes of sitting in front of YouTube and just going to the gaming channel and watching any trailer that I've not seen or heard of before. And this was one of them. This was a thing that I think I caught the trailer for a couple months ago. The game came out for the PS5 in early December, and it looked very much like a Play Dead game. It looked like Limbo or like Inside. It was clearly a game that was sort of like a platformer. You move from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. You jump over things and avoid obstacles, and that sort of traditional thing that happens in this type of video game. The thing with those Play Dead games, obviously, is there's a very sort of deliberate, kind of shadowy look to them, a lot of sort of mysterious things happening. The stories are not necessarily super overt. You, as a player, are left to kind of try to piece together what's going on. What is the the crux of this thing? Why is that person chasing me? What is that monster doing? Et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of sort of inherent mystery in sort of the silence of those games. White Shadows seems to have been built with that influence very heavily in mind. Also taking a bit of a like a 1930s, 1940s, almost like a Cuphead kind of vibe, like a cartoony 1940s cartoon serial television show kind of thing. Like it has an opening credits. White Shadows has kind of an opening credits that looks like an old-timey TV show. There's a lot of like propaganda type things in the video game that have that kind of aesthetic as well, that look like they could be something that happened, behind the scenes in BioShock or Cuphead, just to sort of like pull those references again. So there's definitely kind of a lot of, roots and influences that go back to other types of video games, other types of sort of, art periods and cultural periods and entertainment periods and things like that. The hook in White Shadows is that you're a mysterious little shadowy bird girl. You have what appears to be sort of the lower body of a human being and the head of a bird. You have a beak and a glowing white eye, and clearly feathers on your head, and you are on the run, and initially you don't quite know why. You are trying to avoid guards and people who are chasing you. There is just a ton of machinery that you're trying to escape your way through, that are trying to smash you or capture you or put you in a cage. Along the way you find other little critters, other little like fluffy, feathery, little glowing-eyed bird-type creatures that are stacked in cages. There's a lot of machinery that is sort of processing these little birds to no pleasant end. You get I get, just because this is the sort of the lens that I look through the world at, like a factory farming kind of vibe. There's a lot of like animal processing kind of happening, not in a graphic way, but in a way that leaves very little to your interpretation about what's happening to these poor animals. And you get a sense early on that there's a bit of a food chain here, that sort of the birds, the ravens are dismissed, are sort of the lower class, lower order of this world, and the pigs run the world. All the marketing, all the advertising is pig-type creatures. At some point, you're actually on the set of a television show you're trying to escape, and all of the participants are pigs. All of the crowd are pigs. And all of the sort of the unwilling participants, all of the second-class citizens, essentially, are ravens, are birds. So there's definitely kind of like a hierarchy. There's a bit of a social construct that you're sort of, trying to escape, trying to rebel against here, and to I maybe tell more of that story probably, or to tell more of my interpretations of that story would probably sort of venture into spoiler territory. But it, again, I think like Limbo, like Inside, it does a lot by saying very little. You're left as a player to sort of like try to interpret, like, what does it mean? What's going on here? There's, a lot of that kind of stuff that happens all while you're trying to, save other little critters, save yourself, avoid getting squashed, avoid getting captured, avoid getting, trounced in some horrible machine that you're trying to escape your way through. Doing sort of video gamey platformer type things, while there is sort of a subtext in a world that is really just kind of coming down on you very hard and very overtly with very oppressive messaging and very sort of like dark statements about, the ravens being kind of plague bearers and, horrible people. And there's marketing on the sides of buildings that say that you should smash ravens on the head because they deserve it. Just horrible things like that. So this, again, as a player, as a person who lives in the world in 2022, you are left to sort of oh, I wonder if this means this, or if this is a reaction to X. There's a number of things that, as I was playing through it with Sarah watching, we were sort of interpreting what could it mean and what could the influence for this be. And I took sort of a factory farming perspective. There's a whole other sort of layer of life in the COVID era that you could kind of interpret some of the messaging and some of the perspectives in the game. So it's interesting without ever really being spelled out for you. It doesn't ever actually say, this means this. You're left as the player and as a, hopefully somewhat intelligent human being to sort of apply your own baggage to it.
Those are the only two, demographics, either pigs or ravens.
You get a little bit more later.
Or anything. Oh, there's more.
You spend most of the game with that hierarchy. But there are additional layers that sort of come in later in the game. And again, to sort of explain further would probably venture into spoiler territory for folks who are invested. But the thing is only 2 hours long. I got through the whole thing in a single sitting. I liked it. I think it does sort of suffer from some of the the more frustrating aspects of games like Limbo and Inside as well, is that a lot of it is trial and error. A lot of it is oh crap, I have to duck here and I have to run here and I'm just about a hair away from being caught by this machine and you have to sort of you die 6 times so that you can live through the 7th time trying it. So there were a few moments like that where I was like, oh my God, this part is impossible. I'm never going to get through it. And then you get through it on the 5th attempt or 8th attempt. I don't know. I find some of that to be really obnoxious in video games like this, that I don't know where the balance comes in and how you create a game that is, not entirely frictionless, but doesn't feel like, man, I've got to try this 15 times just to get through this one segment. There was nothing that took quite that many times, but there were some that were 6, 7, 8 times to be able to get through a few of the more intense encounters. And I remember having that exact experience in games like Limbo.
Yeah, there are a few real tight sequences in those from what I remember.
Yeah. So there's stuff like that in White Shadows that feels like, geez, these feel a little bit like rough edges that could have been sawed off. And I get that they're trying to sort of create challenge. They're trying to create stakes in these games, that it can't be you can't create a world of oppression and not have something that's trying to sort of oppress you or trying to take you out or take you down. But it just felt like the things that were the most frustrating about White Shadows were just kind of the obviously just video gamey bits, just not jumping at the exact right time or ducking.
By video gamey bits, you mean the unpleasant sections of it?
No, just the parts that feel like most overtly like, oh, I'm really just playing a Mario game.
Yeah,
where
I get it.
On the platform at the exact right time.
Yeah. It's weird because I feel like going into Limbo, a lot of people approach that as like, oh, it's a puzzle platformer. There's sort of an interesting narrative section of it as well. But then playing Inside, for me at least, was completely the opposite. Where there were a lot of sections where I'd have to replay them over and over, and I was just like, well, I don't know if that's really what I'm here for. Yeah, I think Inside is such an interesting case study in that, man, that game there's so much to it, right? I mean, it's such an interesting thing. There's so much interesting stuff happening. I'm dying to know, why is that happening in the background? What is happening in this world? Yeah. Why am I on the run? Why is everybody chasing me? And holy shit, the last 45 minutes of that game are just boom, head explosion. I have no clue what's happening. But I'm super into it. And sometimes it just feels like the part of that game that just wants to squash you under its thumb is just getting in the way of you enjoying just the waterfall of insanity that happens in the course of playing Inside. Yeah, God, I don't want to give anything away, but just the most inadvertently hilarious conclusion to any video game I've played. I couldn't believe how that game ended.
But super satisfying, though, right? Do you disagree on that point? I love the way that game ended. I felt like, well, this is perfect. I could not have imagined this having gone any better.
I mean, I don't know if I would say it was satisfying. I think after
No?
like a certain point, a very specific point in that game, I was just like, you know what? Do whatever you want. It's like I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Probably not in the way they intended, but just unbelievable.
So the message here from DJ and I is play Inside first.
So good. So good.
Yeah. And then if you need another game like that and that it's just not quite scratched, maybe check out White Shadows.
Yeah. Should I check it out?
Yeah. I don't know. Listen, like I said, it's 2 hours long. It's not a very expensive game. It definitely scratches an itch. It has a message. I think it sort of conveys that in an interesting way.
Fascism is bad.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy takeaway, sure. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it, and I thought it sort of it was done. Like if this was a 19-hour long video game, like maybe that's too long to spend marinating in this world. But 2 hours was just the right number of hours to sort of spend here, to sort of like, to jump over some boxes and to run away from a few guards and do some little stealthy bits and just kind of marinate in the oppression that the game is trying to sort of convey and then be done and then roll credits. And I felt like, perfect. I was just at the point where I was feeling like maybe I had seen what White Shadows was all about and maybe didn't need to spend any more time with it, and now I'm done.
Oh, well, that's always nice.
Yeah. It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah. Like, sometimes, even if you're really into a game, if they manage to just end it in a place that feels very appropriate, you're like, well done.
Perfect.
Feels like that is such a rare thing.
Yes, I mean, particularly in sort of the era of 100-hour RPGs and
right
40-hour adventure games. It doesn't. Yeah, it feels like nobody knows when to wrap these things up.
Yeah. Well, okay, 2 hours. We can probably handle that.
Yeah.
Man, I really want to spoil the end of Inside, but that is I've just not wished that on anyone.
No, I wouldn't wish that either. Inside, since we're sort of on the topic, was like $4 the other day in the Nintendo eShop. So I don't know if it still is, but I remember seeing it all over the internet and all over Twitter that, oh my God, this game is so good. It's only $4. You should play it. So listeners, if you have a Switch, or really any device, because Inside is on most things at this point, and you're at all curious about what the hell DJ and I are talking about, absolutely grab Inside. You will probably not be disappointed.
Yeah. No, it is really good.
Yeah.
Whatever you think of the last hour or so, notwithstanding, like the lead up to that is extremely good.
Yeah. That's a pretty efficient game too. I think that's a little bit longer, maybe about 3 hours long, but man, just breathtaking. It just, you feel like you've survived a thing by the end of that. Absolutely.
Sure.
Cool. So yeah, that is I sort of not necessarily an unqualified recommendation, but I like what they did. I like this type of game. I think it satisfied a need for more Limbo or Inside type video games while I wait for that developer to make their next thing. Mm-hmm. Incidentally, this is this developer's first game. They're called Monocle. I know very little about them, but the credits say this was the first game from Monocle. So I no longer have to wonder if this was their first game.
It's nice that they just put that out there.
They put it right there in the credits, yeah. The credits are fun as it sort of rolls at the end. Again, it looks like kind of an old-timey TV show. It's a very small development team, but underneath each person's name, it has sort of a list of all of the things that they did during the course of production. Character design, scenery artwork. And the last thing on everybody's little list is some esoteric, unusual, and funny thing. Complaining about the weather or forgot to bring pizza when it was their turn. Just little, fun little like office things that they drop in there. I don't know. I kind of liked it. I feel like, credits you can pretty much sleep through in most video games. In fact, you have to because they're so long. So it was kind of fun to see, this little developer having fun with it at least.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was White Shadows.
And it's on... What is this on?
I played it on
PS4?
PS5. Yeah.
PS5. Oh, does it
PS5.
work on PS4?
Let's look. That's probably a good question since more people probably have that than a PS4. It is in fact on Steam.
Okay, well, I guess that takes care of that.
Xbox Series X and PS5.
No, man.
So Steam probably your your most accessible option.
Yeah. I have to confess that I hooked up my my Surface to my monitor the other like a couple weeks ago, so I could play Vampire Survivors on it. So as long as that's still hooked up, I guess I might as well play White Shadows.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, I guess we wrap this thing up. Unless you have more video games you want to talk about.
I guess that's it. I don't know. I have a new update just came out for Vampire Survivors. I gotta go see what that's about.
Oh, but, my.
I've not experienced it yet.
All right. If you need any more video game hangover into your brain, you should follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about the episode at VGHangover.com as well. You can also tell us what you thought about the show on our Discord. You can always get a link to that at VGHangover.com, in fact, as also.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I can confirm.
What have we been talking about on our Discord recently? We were talking about the trade-in value of various 3DS games.
Oh, yeah. The whole... Man, you missed it. Did you hear that the whole 3DS and Wii U shop are closing down next year? You were on a boat.
I was on a boat when that news came to bear, but as soon as I connected to Wi-Fi, I saw all of the grumbling on the internet. And immediately the lists of hundreds of video games you had to buy before they shut it down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody brought to my attention that there are over 100 DLC songs for that Final Fantasy music game. So now that's what I'm staring at as these shops get ready to close.
Do you have to buy them all a la carte?
God, I didn't even think that far ahead. But I can't imagine, just buying anything on the 3DS shop. Not the best.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Let alone trying to buy 100 of them.
Oh man, well, I guess I'd better start blocking out some vacation time.
Yeah, you better get on it right now. We would love for you to subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you can get a podcast. And help us out by telling your friends about the show, please.
Yes, please do that. It really helps us get the word out and build the listenership. We really appreciate it. Speaking of listenership, I want to give thanks again to Protodome this week for our intro and outro music. It would be great if you went to protodome.bandcamp.com and listen to some more of his stuff. Maybe buy an album or two.
Nice. We'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks so much for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.